Could a single billionaire actually crash the entire global economy? At first glance, the math says obviously not. The total global economy, measured by gross domestic product, is roughly $105 trillion a year. The total value of all global wealth, every house, factory, stock, and bank account, is around $450 trillion. If the world's richest individual possesses $300 billion, they own roughly 0.06% of global wealth. If they simply withdrew all their money and burned it in a giant heap, the global economy would lose about as much blood as a healthy adult losing a single teaspoon. To understand why this changes, we have to look at what that $300 billion actually is. It is almost never cash. If our billionaire went to a bank teller and asked for $300 billion in $100 bills, the request would fail because the total physical currency in circulation globally is only about $8 trillion. Instead, their wealth exists as pieces of paper representing ownership, company shares, real estate titles, intellectual property patents, and complex financial investments. Let us introduce one unusual assumption. The billionaire becomes completely determined to crash the economy, is willing to lose every cent, and will obey the laws of physics and basic financial regulations. They have no superpowers, but they do have perfect logistical execution. The destruction begins not with a global panic, but with a routine corporate filing. The billionaire decides to sell 100% of their shares in their primary company, a massive tech and logistics conglomerate worth $1.5 trillion all at once, at a designated price of $0. Here's our first back-of-the-envelope calculation. Usually, large stock sales are handled slowly through dark pools to avoid moving the price. Dumping a 20% founding stake onto the open market instantly drops the demand to zero. Because the order book is flooded, the stock price drops by 99% in roughly 11 seconds. The immediate consequence is small and administrative. In a single warehouse in Ohio, a regional manager looks at their automated inventory system. The company's credit line, which automatically adjusts based on the value of its parent stock, has been frozen by the lending bank. The warehouse cannot pay the local fuel distributor for the diesel required to run the delivery trucks tomorrow morning. Now the failure cascades. The tech giant owes money to roughly 40,000 independent suppliers. Let us estimate that 5% of these suppliers depend on this single contract for more than 80% of their revenue. Within 48 hours, 2,000 medium-sized businesses discover that their upcoming invoices will not be honored. Let us look at one of these suppliers, a manufacturer of cardboard boxes in Indiana. They employ 120 people. Because their primary customer just stopped paying, the cardboard factory misses its monthly payment on a $10 million equipment loan held by a regional bank. This triggers our second calculation. If 2,000 suppliers all default on their commercial loans simultaneously, regional banks suddenly find themselves holding billions in non-performing assets. To maintain their legally required capital ratios, these banks must immediately stop approving new loans. In a neighboring town, a construction company tries to renew a routine loan for a highway project. The bank refuses. 50 workers are laid off, and the excavators never leave the yard. The problem spreads through margin calls. Hedge funds borrowed against the billionaire's collapsing stock. As lenders demand repayment, the funds dump everything else they own. Within days, the wider market falls another 15%, and ordinary investors begin selling too. Central banks inject emergency liquidity, but foreign investors pull money out instead. The dollar weakens, making imports from microchips to medical equipment far more expensive. Soon, pension funds in Britain and Japan cancel infrastructure investments. A water treatment plant in Australia loses its financing before construction is complete. Here's the surprising part. The billionaire's $300 billion never actually crashed the economy. The economy broke because a single failure snapped thousands of connected loans, contracts, and expectations stretching from a warehouse in Ohio to a construction site in Australia.